the group deciding to go separate ways for the next bit, with Gabriel retreading old hunting ground with a visit to Six Towers, and Omen and Lottie heading south into the ghetto district of Dunslow. So, with that, we will start with we'll start with Gabriel for an engagement roll. So, is this plan especially bold or daring?
Not really. Just, it's not.
Does this plan exploit a vulnerability or hit your target where they're weakest?
Okay, so...
Not really.
Well, it depends on what your definition of a target is. Because if we look at the grand scheme of things, what is the target? Is the target this other group? Because if so, we're talking about the only other people that ever survived them, which might make them a little bit weaker.
Okay. That's a very fair argument, yes. Can any of your friends or allies provide assistance?
I have an information broker friend, though the bells aren't necessarily they are a known quantity to me, and I am a known quantity to them, so it's not necessarily that I would need to drudge up information on them, but I could do it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's and are there any other factors you would like to consider?
Well, I haven't done any consorting, so weaving the web's not going to apply this time.
Okay. You still get your bonus die for it, so yeah, a fairly safe job. And like I say, it's a low-key score, if it can even be called that. At this point, you are looking to hopefully unravel the web a bit. And 5, so a standard risky position. However, going to the west of Six Towers is always something of a risky endeavour. As you begin to make the journey, and the grandeur of going through Charter Hall and the well-maintained paved streets gives way to cracked cobbles, rife with spindly brown grass and weeds that spring up through every single crack. And as you make your way, you find yourself feeling somewhat nostalgic as well. Looking towards the north, where, even though lost in the darkness now, you're aware that your train carriage and possibly Syrah still linger.
The idea of Syrah still lingering sends a small shiver up Gabriel's spine. It's not a comfortable feeling, having somebody that you've somewhat feel like there could have been a way to save them, but having them dead, it's not a comforting thought.
It's there's a sadness and a melancholy in that, nostalgia as well. As you make your way further into the district itself, you're aware of various the buildings fall further and further into disrepair, many of them boarded up, marked for dereliction, and it's crossing over the clear water into South Mistshore, and heading out to the very, very west of the district and the west of the city, so much so that you see that there's the what's the name of this? The Mist River that flows past, and the dark, oily black waters separating Duskfall from the mainland. And you see the old abandoned or derelict mansion, which is used by Flint and Co. as a base of operations.
Gabriel kind of prepares himself mentally here, because he realizes that there is going to be a little bit of... something is definitely going to be required of him here. Whatever that happens to be, he's unsure of at this time. It depends on the mood of this person. So he's just gonna head into Flint's place of business and wait kind of in the foyer area.
The front door still has yet to be repaired. The double doors, one of them still attached and rusted in place. The other one has buckled in on itself and now just sits in the main foyer, and kicking away through the dead leaves that gather just inside the front door. With a deep breath in the darkness, we will jump over as Omen and Lottie make your way down into south, heading south out of Crowsfoot again, and into Dunslow. So, for you, is this plan especially bold or daring?
Not particularly.
We're going to talk to a lady that sees ghosts. Not
I will say on account of you two, you are both nobles going into notoriously the poorest district in the entire city of Dusk. Stand out?
Yeah.
But does this plan exploit a vulnerability or hit your target where they're weakest?
I think so. Just going to talk to her.
Okay. Can any of your friends or allies provide assistance?
No. My friend is more on the aristocratic sides of things.
How about you, Lottie? Who's your friend?
Fellow booty hunter.
Oh, Custer.
It's Casta, yes.
Yes, Custer is based out of Ironhook Prison, which is located in Dunslow, in the north of the district. So it's with the ghetto itself being to the south. But everything within Dunslow very much stands within the shadow of Ironhook. But yeah, if anyone knows the district, Custer does, and gives you the warnings and the friendly advice of don't get killed. And are there any other factors that you would like to consider?
Don't worry, Omen. I have several guns. We're fine.
Okay. With that, we will roll 3 dice and a. Okay. As you arrive, you begin to cross over the bridge. The cabbie taking you southwards and crossing over. What's it called? The charmingly named Jailer's Bridge, which, as you do, you see the name as this big, heavy-set, ironclad prison vehicle transport is pulled along. The name is instantly quite apparent of why it carries such a quite an ominous name. However, he gets halfway across the bridge and then pulls the Acorasian goat to a stop. And this is as far as I go. Don't go into Dunslow. Kind of nods up, and you can just see this sign, a big iron sign above the bridge, on an archway over the bridge, that just says Dunslow. illuminated from below by several lights, but several of the lights within it have just gone. So it technically says Dunlaug. You want to go down slowly, walk away.
Omen will always go with ladies first. This time is mostly because if they try to shoot at us, she knows how to fight. I don't. But he'll pretend that it's out of respect.
To be honest, you should be okay in the north. The district, that's where it's occupied by Ironhook Prison. And as you make your way further down the bridge on foot now, you're aware of several patrol routes making their way around the exterior wall, dressed in the Ironhook uniform of this grey, drab, long coat, and most of them holding dogs on leashes, which growl and snap even though you're not party to the prison. They just generally don't like people.
I am 100% uncountable about anything and everything that's around us. This is not where I would like to be. We're here. So,
As you make your way further south, passing by the prison, this big monolith silhouette cutting up against the dark skies above you. You make your way down Ironhook Road to the east of the prison, and slowly, you're very aware that the paved street is giving way to just mud and a very, very poorly maintained semblance of a roadway. Ahead of you, you just about make out the lean-to type structures that make up Dunslow Ghetto. Most of these are old buildings that have been built on top with rickety wooden structures and old bits of corrugated metal and lean-to bits of cloth that just keep out the elements for the most part. But the majority of the building work here has been done by the occupants. There's not really much in the way of official building, especially the further up you go. As structures are built on top of pre-existing structures, and towards the upper levels, it becomes more or less just scaffolding. And you are acutely aware of several figures who sit out the front of these buildings. Obviously, despite their lack of means, there is something of a very closely tight-knit community. Some of them kind of casting eyes towards you with a degree of cynicism, but nobody gets up to make a move, at least. And
do we know where we have to go? More a question. This is actually a question to Lottie. We know the exact place we have to go.
Do we have a place where we know we can find her?
She would likely be at least close to the Deathland Scavengers. They operate out this area, however things change so much as buildings inevitably collapse and people move and they go somewhere else, but they stay in the vicinity. The Deathland Scavengers generally hang around in these parts at least.
We might be able to find her there if we're lucky. If not, I'm afraid we will have to ask around.
Okay, I'm going to say with that, make me a roll.
And make a hunt roll.
Hunt or survey, both of those would work. Success with a complication. Okay. You're aware that as you go further into the district, you begin to make your way down side streets, down these tiny little alleyways, which at some point you have to step sideways, so you're going in and shimmying along a wall where the two walls opposite you are too close to go through straight on. And as you go ever deeper into the district itself, very few places in here are actually named streets. You have a feeling you're probably going the right way. It's more likely that you need to get closer to the lightning barriers. And as you go down one street and make your way, you're aware of a couple of figures behind you. And with that, we are going to jump back to Gabriel. Standing in the darkness, you are aware of the sound of footsteps coming from the balcony, the mezzanine balcony overhead. As a figure emerges out the semi-darkness, and I wondered when you'd come back.
I always come back. And Gabriel says that with kind of a wry smile.
Oh, I know. And there's the click of heels that begin to descend the old marble staircase. And an acquaintance of yesteryear, Arabella, steps forward, as if kind of almost nonchalantly, just reaching up as the evidently a Taisha Rossi, given the two impala sort of corkscrew horns on her head. She sort of reaches up and feels the top of one, as if sort of testing how sharp it is at the moment.
No need for any of that.
You liked it before.
You hear a deep breath come from Gabriel here. As much as I would like to indulge, I do have a bit of business I need to actually discuss with you.
But that got boring very, very quickly.
I know. I'm sorry, darling. I'm sorry. But I'm looking into something for a friend, and you very well may be privy, more so than most people, to the inner workings of an event that happened a few years back. The two survivors.
You know it was Flint that sent them in, right?
I am not privy to 100% of the details, so, if you would, endeavor to share that information with me, I am certain that I can find something far more entertaining to make it worth your while.
Well, all I remember is he sent 5 teenage girls into somewhere where they were all going to die, and it's a miracle that 2 of them escaped. And then I slapped him in the face for it.
Seems like he deserved a little bit more than that. And then Gabriel pauses after he says that. He's not in right now, right? Or should we go someplace else?
Flint! He's out.
Fair enough. I don't wish to burn any bridges, and I'm sure you understand that as well. So, the two fortunate girls, let me rephrase that did make it out. Did they ever speak about what happened?
Not really. I mean, they grew up. I don't know what happened. They moved on.
No connection at all?
Not really. They tend to go their own way. Once they're out of Six Towers, I think most people prefer to keep it that way. Something of a miracle you came back. Or did something tempt you?
Well, obviously when this incident came up and I found out that the bells were involved, of course my mind immediately went to you. So, if you'd like to consider that, you brought me back. Once again, that smile kind of curls Gabriel's lips.
Of course I did. She stands a chair up, which has fallen over in the hallway, and just kind of sits down, rocking back on the two back legs a little bit. So I'm guessing you want to know about Dimmer Mansion.
Yes, I won't go into too much detail, as it is a personal matter that I am dealing with for my friend. However, it is in connection to a raid that they had on the College of Echoes when they took some books.
The Dimmers left their house. Must have been spectacular. Don't know anything about that, but know a thing or two about the house.
Gabriel finds a wall to lean against, once again not trusting a single chair that he would find in this place.
I'm going to say at this point, make me a roll, more to see what Arabella knows rather than what you can get.
Okay, so if I'm choosing the role here, it would make sense for Consort, since she is a friend.
Absolutely. Is that what you call it these days? Right, okay.
Fair enough. Also, alluding to my previous statement about the actual target here, would this benefit from weaving the web, since I'm trying to collect information on them?
Oh, I would say yes. Yeah, like I said, this is sort of a gather intelligence score, so it's...
So I get 1 extra die for consorting. You know what? I'm pushing myself too. I'm taking 4 die.
Good stuff.
I'm glad I did.
So no sort of control position, so not... Let me preface all of this by saying Dimmer Mansion is a strange place.
I would not... If you didn't say that, I would doubt the information I was about ready to get. Gabriel kind of chuckles.
And as she begins to divulge, we're going to jump back to Dunslow. With 2 figures following a little bit behind. Lottie, it's more your natural instincts beginning to kind of take over at this point, and realizing that it's an attempt to tail you. However, it's not a particularly convincing one.
Inform Owen
Sorry, say again.
I'm gonna inform Omen that we are being trailed by some people. I'm not very sure we can safely lose them without being lost ourselves. But maybe we can scare them away.
Omen, anything you would like to?
Anything we might do might attract more attention, and I would much rather not attract anyone else. You do this kind of works. Whatever you decide, I'll act and do the best I can to follow your orders. I'm already starting to do weird things because if she decides we have to scare them, I'm going to do something occult.
First, that we just walk faster and see what happens. To just go tired of following us and lose interest.
As you begin to, as you pick up the pace, making your way further in, you're aware, become acutely aware that they also know the district, and rather naturally, a lot better than yourselves. They take they'll disappear for one moment and then reappear behind you and a little bit closer as they take these shortcuts going between buildings and down these tiny little alleyways. Still maintaining a bit of a distance, but and you see one of them kind of very, very an attempt at being stealthy, kind of try to conceal that he's got a billy club, which is kind of like concealing badly under his jacket.
So it's to mug us.
Likely.
Maybe we should discourage them before it goes any further. Gonna take one of my pistol and pass it to Omen. Just so you look intimidating, don't have to actually shoot it.
I'm going to say mark off, you mark off the pistols on your character sheet and make me a check.
I clearly am not familiar with guns.
You can group action if you want.
It's gonna
you can do an assisted check, or if for intimidation, it's probably going to be command or sway or something like that.
Yeah.
But you could do it as a group action, or you can assist as well.
Remind me, group action, how do they work?
Group action, you both roll the same thing, and you both take the highest result. But if you roll if for every failed roll, you take 1 stress. So if you both fail, whoever's leading takes 2 stress, for example.
Okay.
But like I say, if you roll a 6, then you both share that 6, or if you roll a crit, then you both have that.
To say the commander's way, I could... I'd sway, mainly because I don't have command. I'll try to point out things. It's not worth it, because we have nothing that we could give. We just want to go to...
More that you're going with the intimidation on the gun and things like that as well, so you're kind of playing up to that a little bit. But like I say, are you doing that as a teamwork or an assisted action or on your own?
You have it.
I have sway.
I have neither of them, so I'm gonna.
I would say with the gun, you can do it with you're using the gun as a group thing. You can do it. You can have +1 on your roll.
Okay.
And for a team, for a group action, you both have to roll the same thing, so you both roll sway.
So I have 2 die. I have 1 extra die due to. Okay. Play. Met. Bonus die 1.
So I had a bonus die.
Yes, you do. Yeah, for the gun.
6.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
6 and a 5. Very nice. So yeah, there's a point where you see one of them kind of begins to make his way forward, doing that thing where he spins the billy club and then just sort of goes and walks down straight.
That's worth it. Just don't go.
I always, you hear this voice just emanate out of the darkness, and I always swing weapons ominously when I'm walking.
Good. It's good for your health.
Yeah.
Stay active.
Have a good night. Don't mind us.
You too.
And as the two of you guys turn around and begin to make your way further in, you're aware of the other guy just stood there going, oh. In this very, very obvious, oh, he's still going to rob. No!
We can hear you!
And as you go forever further south, you are eventually greeted by what can only be described as a very, very heavily jury-rigged train. It runs on a single straight track, and you see that it makes its way directly towards the lightning barrier. This being in the very ironically named alongside to the south of the Emperor's Palace. The idea is that it's kind of created this mock version, and to those of you familiar who have been to the Imperial City, it in the dark, and if you squint, it kind of has the same shape as like these spires that kind of jut up, but realizing as you get closer they're just like part of this scaffolding infrastructure that makes up the districts. And most of the and whereas before in the Emperor's Palace you would have the regalia and the flags and the banners, these are just bits of cloth that have been blown loose and have been exposed to the rain and wind for long enough that they're just these tattered rags that flap in the breeze now. Making your way to the south of that little landmark eyesore is when you encounter the Deathland Scavengers pseudo train system. Essentially, it's just a means of getting out of the lightning barrier without obviously having to expose themselves to it.
Probably for the last 5 minutes you've heard me essentially throw insults, really elegant and holy, but still I'm insulting everyone and everything because this is disgusting and this is horrible. They should be all hanged because this is unacceptable.
Maybe a fortune roll.
I'm saying it, okay, I was basically whispering, but yes, I will.
Oh, okay.
And don't want to actually insult people.
I'm gonna say, no one hears, much to your luck. It's and as the other than a kind of a few eyes, you're aware of people sort of looking out of the windows, out of ragged and worn, tattered curtains. They kind of peel back the curtains and sort of eyeball you as you walk past with a certain degree of suspicion. And then when you arrive at this train, which itself is surrounded by a mixture of an old Vardo type carriage, which doesn't have any wheels yet left, but sort of sits on the ground. Evidently somebody's impromptu makeshift home. There's a few tents and a couple of lean-to type canopies that just to keep out the worst of the rain. There's a few figures that sit around, most of them in piecemeal and very, very worn, battered leather armors. Several of them are evidently armed, and you see that one of them is there with a clear bandolier just slung over one shoulder, with several bullets in it, but not by any means a complete complement of ammunition. And as you get closer, you're aware of the eyes beginning to turn to meet you. Most of these figures have got heavy scars, and despite any attempts, hands and faces are usually dusted with the ash of the Deathlands.
So, we ask around. Does it looks like is there anybody that could be named Vandra in the area? Like some sort of
I'm going to say if you want, it would probably be a flashback there if you wanted to find out some stuff about Vandra.
Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
do that.
So yeah, I would say
a physical description or something.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'd say take one stress, but you don't need to roll for this one. From talking to a few people who have encountered her previously, she is Severosi, and of the Zedriani tribe. They are very much a nomadic group. They travel predominantly by horses. Very, very adept horse riders. However, she has been in Dusk for quite a long time, and during this time has made multiple excursions out into the Deathlands, which has been somewhat of an influence on her personality now, that no one can really understand what she's saying without taking the necessary measures. However, it's more that you're looking for the very, very distinctive garb of the Zedriani, who wear these slightly shapeless clothes, but quite ornate with the designs and motifs.
Is there anyone who matches the description?
Oh, maybe a check.
Anywhere? Okay. Be survival?
Absolutely, yes. As you step forward, you realise that out of the door of the train opens up, and this big figure makes his way through, just hauling this chest out. And as he does, every eye turns on you, and instantly several guns are drawn. Just, who are you? What are you doing? The questions sort of come from all angles. Stay away, this is ours.
Oh, sorry for intruding, I guess. Me and my friend here are looking for a lady called Vandra. We have some questions she might have the answer to.
There's one of them who's wearing, you can't make out the features that disappear into the shadows under this wide-brimmed hat. There is a distinct click of the gun's hammer being cocked back. And I'd like you to make me a check as a desperate action to talk your way out of this one. And with that, while you make that roll, we will jump back to Six Towers. As Arabella sits back and begins to explain what she can about the nature of the building itself. As her eyes narrow and says, "I don't think it makes much sense to those who haven't experienced it. And from what the girls told me, I don't think it makes much sense to those who have. It's all non-linear, you might say. If, and I know that because I was there myself once, teenage girls might be prone to exaggeration. Teenagers in general, let's be honest. But one of them said that she had a fight on the front of their clock tower. However, when they left, the building itself seemed undamaged. What that was about, I don't know. It's...
too late.
all a little bit weird. And they said that there were demons there as well.
Not the first time. Oddly enough, not the first time I've heard about demons in the past month. Luckily, it seems like we have somewhat of an expert we can call on regarding that specific subject.
Oh yeah, they were stupid enough to go in without a whisper.
Ooh. Yeah, that's problematic. So, if I'm understanding what you were saying correctly, was one of them recalls a fight in a clock tower, and I'm assuming that fight caused some sort of damage, and when they left, there was no damage.
Seemingly so. From what I understand, they completely destroyed it while they were there. But yet, on the outside of the building, there it was.
Fascinating. I am not one to speculate. If only there was a whisper around right now. But it seems like everybody's out at the moment, which honestly is probably preferable as well.
Just you and me. Spider to spider.
Spider to spider. So, you have informed me that you don't know where the two left to. Only that they have not been back to Six Towers since.
I have no idea. The only one that I know that stayed around, well, a little bit south, down in Night Market. But she does refitting. Well, legitimate. Runs her own little place, does okay for me. She wasn't part of that. I know that much.
Do you know if she had any connection to those that did?
She was close, I believe, with one of the ones that never made it out. She was always quiet after that. I don't think she ever really got over it.
Gabriel kind of nods his head left and right as he's tossing around ideas in it. Alright, well, at least you've given me a direction here. Now, I don't expect this to come free. Name your price.
She kind of moves very, very close, sort of goes right up against you, puts her hand on your chest and sort of stands inches away from nose to nose and goes, "You owe me, Gabriel Barceló." And just kind of like flicks your nose. I'll think about it.
There is somewhat of a... He clears his throat and kind of turns his head a little bit. You do that. You know how to get a hold of me. Oh, yes, actually, about that. The train car. kind of a no-fly zone, obviously. Incidents withstanding.
Oh no, the Bluecoats surrounded it, and then one of them died because your friend went a little bit rogue.
A lot of my friends went rogue.
Oh no, you know which one I mean.
However, and at this point he produces a small piece of paper with the new address in Crow's Foot. This is where it can be found nowadays.
Oh, going up in the world.
I don't know if you'd classify Crow's Foot as actually up. I mean, it does take me further away from you.
As she turns around and begins to make her way back upstairs, it's I'll find you. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
You know what? I'm gonna make a roll here. I don't know why I'm doing this, but this is gonna be fun.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna tear the last bit of the flimsy part of the door off the hinge. just like it doesn't shut anyway, so it's not actually gonna.
No, it's like half on its side. There's one hinge holding it in place, and it's just buckled like horizontally.
Yeah,
it doesn't close. Yeah,
and so I'm just gonna make sure it can't hit me.
What did you get?
I got a 4. Just terrible, but
I'm gonna say you do it, and this voice from upstairs just goes, "You owe me a door now as well." I'm gonna say take as a level 1 harm, so it will be probably a social one of indebted.
Okay. We'll add it to the table.
You could remove a removable door, and you could use it as the table as well. Meanwhile, let's jump back to the events as the group of Deathland Scavengers, all of which have stopped what they're doing. All eyes are on you. What did you get on your check?
4.
So success with a complication. There's a voice from the Vardo caravan as you see a short but slight figure make her way out again, but the physique kind of lost under that slightly formless garb. And she looks around. I heard my name. I heard the name Vandra. What's Vandra?
It's like talk to you.
She makes her way, just kind of pushing through the others, just like kind of lowering their guns as she does so. And she just fixes you with her eyes, which you notice that the pupils are incredibly dilated, look incredibly large, almost taking up her entire iris. What do you want? What do you look for?
Please, some assistance and hopefully answers.
She sort of pulls your head forward a bit and whispers in your ear. And from Omen's perspective, you see Lottie's eyes widen a little bit, and then her brow furrows in firm concentration. And you notice her skin loses a little bit of the colour. And I'm going to send something to you privately, Lottie. And I would like you to take it's probably going to be a level 2 harm of shaken. If you would like to resist, you could resist as well if you would like, of course, and take armor. But that will affect social rolls.
No, I just need to know where I can find this type of harm.
So it's under harm. So it's a normal type of harm, but it rather than being a physical harm, it's a social harm. So no, sorry, it's a mental harm. So insight checks are at -1 if you take the level 2 harm. If you resist and go to level 1 harm, their insight checks are a limited effect because your brain's kind of you're under a little bit of concern with the information that she has given you.
If I may, I would try to attune myself to the ghost field and try to sense the supernatural on the lady. How
absolutely
dangerous it could be.
I would say
how weird.
I would say that's knowing what you're potentially letting yourself in for. I would say that's a desperate action, but greater effect.
Yeah.
So you can mark also remember for your desperate actions to take a mark in your EXP track.
I'll use attune, I assume. Push is 2 stress, correct?
Sorry? Push
is...
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2 stress.
Okay, but also push myself. Okay. Desperate. Submit. Greater. 1. 6. 2 6s.
Oh, a crit! Nice. Yeah, you're able to sort of close off from the whispers that begin to emanate in your ear. They surround this girl. So many voices that emanate from the darkness, but there are others in there. Very, very ominous and malevolent tones. Likely something more than just the average malevolent spectre. It's just probably potentially dealing with demons. And as the two of you turn with what you have uncovered, and you begin to make your way out of back out of Dunslow.
You have just finished listening to this week's episode of Blades in the Dark, What Happens in the Dusk, part of the Domain Gaming, written and told by Wyverian and Livespark. A special thanks to you, the listener, and if you wish to continue supporting us, subscribe, like, and share. As always, comments are welcome. Until the next chapter, remember the first rule of a con. Offer them everything for nothing, and give them nothing for everything.